Hi, I'm Kento. I'm from Tokyo, and I'm friends with Nick for 2 years. Yes, that's it.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the visitor in Tokyo. I'm not from Tokyo, but I have been living here for 2 years, and I hope I can offer a little bit of insight for what it's like to be a visitor in Japan for an extended or short time.
Yeah.
What's your exciting things in Japan?
Let's see, I would say the most interesting or exciting things in Japan. We'll say unique experiences in Japan. The first would probably be doing karaoke in Japan,
Oh.
which is pronounced karaoke in Japanese.
Yeah.
In Japan, it's really interesting because you reserve a small, relatively small room with just your friends, and they have a nice sound system and a nice television and a good song selection system, and it's a really fun experience with just your friends. And since it's only people you know, the experience is a little bit less intimidating and a little bit more normal. Compared to in other countries where you may have to be standing at the front of the bar and singing for 100 people that you've never met before.
Oh.
And that can be really fun too, but karaoke in Japan is probably number one. The second would be baseball. So baseball is one of the first culture share things that was done between Japan and the United States shortly after World War II. I believe it was the New York Yankees who came over and had an exhibition game in Japan and introduced baseball to the Japanese people, who just loved it. And now baseball and professional baseball is actually synonymous with Japan. That Japan has an excellent professional baseball system and a lot of very skilled players. And I have found that the spectator experience for baseball in Japan is absolutely unique. The activities between innings, the available food at the stadium, the whole thing is a completely unique experience. So that's a key one. Another one would be seasonal matsuri. So matsuri, for the viewers, matsuri is a festival. And it's usually a local neighborhood type festival, and often associated only with a summer festival, where people wear their traditional leisure Japanese clothes and do a lot of dances, and they have drums and singing, and it's a very traditional experience. And there's also a lot of street food, and sometimes it's very hot weather. But I recommend matsuri for visitors. If you're here in the summertime, you should be able to find one. It's a good experience. Number 4, probably also found and recommended in other YouTube videos, but it's definitely worth mentioning, is an onsen. So an onsen is a public bath. Usually you are there with people you don't know, and everybody is collectively in the onsen together, and separated, men and women, and everybody is in there without any clothes, which to a visitor might seem very strange, but actually in Japan this is a very normal and traditional experience, and it's completely accepted and loved by local people, and it's definitely something that you should try. It is probably one of the most relaxing things you will ever do. Also, try to just observe what other people do, because sometimes there's a process. Like first you have to clean yourself, then you have to go into the medium temperature water, then you go into the hottest temperature water. And so it's nice generally in Japan, but also in an onsen for a visitor, to just observe what other people are doing and try to be respectful of traditions. Another unique thing that I've found in Japan is conventions. So comic conventions are the first thing that come to mind. Cosplay, anime, all of these things are are very associated with Japanese culture, and it's very true. There are places in Japan without going to conventions where you can experience this, but going to a comic book convention in Japan or an anime festival, any type of activity that is based on a television series or based on a comic book or based on a fiction, based on a story, is going to be a very uniquely Japanese experience for anybody that I highly recommend. Along with conventions is also seasonal festivals that come from other countries, like Oktoberfest in October. You can frequently find at bars or in different districts of Japan, like in Shibuya or in Shinjuku or in Ginza, and particularly in Yokohama at the Red Brick area. And it's really interesting to see Japanese people interpret the things about other cultures seasonally that they really enjoy, whether it be Oktoberfest from Germany, Halloween, Christmas, any kind of experience that's very Western that Japanese people take and they interpret the things they love about it. It's nice to experience those again with fresh eyes as a visitor.
It occurs to me that once you mentioned about the Irish bar in Japan.
Yeah.
It's also like Irish bar is a worldwide thing, but it's if you go in Japan, it's also a different culture.
I would say that's totally true. So I think the best way for me to try to express that is no matter what you do in Japan, whether you're visiting a bar or an event that is not Japanese at its heart, it will never be anything like how you experience it in the home country. So if you go to Oktoberfest, it's going to be Japanized. If you go to an Irish bar, it's going to be Japanized. And if you go to any other Western type experience in Japan, it is going to be Japanized. So please keep in mind that, especially for people who have been living in Japan for a while that aren't from Japan, that places like that are still very, very Japanese. They're filled with Japanese people who are open to Western concepts, who like to socialize with Western people, and going to those is not going to be taking away from your Japanese experience. So if you have a friend in Japan who wants to do some of those things with you, please be patient with them and just know that just because they're taking you to an Irish pub in Tokyo doesn't mean that it's going to detract from your traditional Japanese experience.
Oh, well said.
We hope to offer you some new videos in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Mata!
Mata ne.